I will be calling it WSJF, but of course it stands for weighted shortest job first. And it's all to do with the prioritization of your features or even epics. And by prioritization, of course, we know that everything there is prioritized. Everything there is priority. But the actual order of the features, this is where it's important then to have some sort of prioritization mechanism to see which features go before the others. And you see the benefits that it really does help bring forward any sort of urgent need. If you've got hundreds of features, if you do prioritize them correctly, then you'll get the right features with the most value out there as quickly as possible. Also, you will have, we look at the objectives from the customer and the organization as point of view, as opposed to just kind of technical work that needs to be done. So it's the order of work, ordering that backlog that you have. And that's where Candice is helping in as well. What isn't included are features that have dependencies. So it might be that you have, you need feature A before you have feature B. It might be that you have that. If that's the way, then actually, that order is already predetermined. And also, if you're building a system and you're building the system incrementally, then of course that order is already determined as well. So that already has its own kind of prioritized order, should we say. So when we're defining the order of work, as I mentioned, it might be that it's never as simple. Say, obviously, talk about the top 10 features. I read somewhere that, what do they say? Maybe you have less than top 10. And you can put all your features in. I have not seen any organization with less than 100 features. So some of them have hundreds, 400 features in an API, and they will be relating to certain products, countries, deployments, whatever it may be, even teams. So it really is important to define that order of work from there. And with that, when we are defining that, when we have the prioritized list, then we're able to put them into batches. Now, these batches may be releases of certain products. It might be releases to certain countries, whatever the batch is. But at least we can put them in batches and we can prioritize the user stories in accordance with those batches. Okay. Before I go on, just because I like these polls, I just want to know what ceremonies that you do WSJF in. I know, if that's okay, you go to that poll.
Yeah, it should be up. So we have PI planning periodically, and our product owner syncs a specific ceremony like unique to your organization. Our product manager does it behind closed doors, or we don't have a ceremony for it.
Okay.
So let's
keep it going.
You guys all could put in your votes real quick. Maybe we have too many options. It's hard to decide.
Yes. Can we see the answers? I know you're able to show that.
Yeah. About half have voted. Do you want me to just close it now?
Oh, you have to close it. No, don't close it. Don't close it. Let people vote.
Give it a second. Okay, I'm gonna close it. Here we go. Results.
Okay, yeah. That's exactly it. So the periodically in our product owner syncs, I think that's pretty much the only ceremony that you can do that. Unless you have a specific ceremony for it, which is fantastic actually. So 25% of people have a specific ceremony for it. That's unique.
Interesting. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going back to the slides. Can you see this? What is WSJF?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. So what is WSJF? As I said, weighted shortest job first. We have it's the cost of delay and divided by the job size. To put in its simplest term, it's the cost of delay that gets a bit complicated when you're measuring it, and people have their own different variations of doing that. But what SAFE says is the cost of not actually having that feature or initiative or wherever it is out there. So it's not the cost that is being, of development, but it's the cost of actually not having your cool feature out there. Let's go into this one. Yeah, so SAFE has kind of this is you will recognize this from SAFE. This is an example that they use. If you've got three features, if it takes distributed amount of times, but the cost of delay is, for example, this feature A is quite high. Not having feature A out there is quite high. It's, say, for example, these are weeks. This is the duration score. Then, of course, it makes sense to do this feature before. It sounds really simple when you do that, but really what tends to happen is we see that, look, this is going to take 10 weeks to build. So let's start working on this one as quickly as we can, even though actually the cost of not having it out there is not that much. But because we're going to have it, we will start on this one and we will ignore this. And then, of course, we don't have any value at all until feature C is done out there. We've missed out on the chance of getting value from feature A and B. And that's in the simplest term. So of course, the idea is that we prioritize correctly, we get this WSJF score, and then we can put it in order of the value that we're going to get once that feature has been released. Now, I said that it's the breakdown of the cost of delay that just adds a bit of complication. SAFE have done this quite well, I think, but of course, we would need to customize it for your organization because, of course, your user business values will be different across industries. So they have their user business value, they have their time criticality, and the risk reduction or opportunity enablement. So those are the three components. As I said, SAFE have tried to kind of give you examples of what each one means, but of course you will have your own. I've seen even organizations sort of change some of these headings to make it suit their own, but the formula will be the same. And then the calculation, we've got the features on the left-hand side. The calculation is for each of these features, you would need to get some kind of value. So it might be that you use Fibonacci, it might be that you use, out of 10, out of 20, whatever you use. But for these three here, so user value, user business value plus time criticality plus risk reduction equals, that's the cost of delay. So that's the one that you really need. And then you've got the job size there. You divide that cost of delay by the job size, and that gives you the WSJF score. It seems straightforward enough, doesn't it? But when you've got lots of features, of course, that's where it gets a bit more difficult. So I was actually happy that most of you answered that you have WSJF sessions, because we kind of felt silly suggesting it, because of course SAFE doesn't suggest it, but really it's because of the PO syncs are, you kind of focusing on refining for the next PI. You're kind of fighting all of the issues that you're facing in this PI. We didn't want to sort of suggest, okay, now in your PO syncs, you also do the WSJF sessions. Of course, it'd be great if you can do, but it's so important, these WSJF sessions, that it would be great to have separate sessions just for those. And in attendance could be product manager or management. Facilitating to this as a product manager or management. because it would be, whoever's in charge of the product or whoever has that overall vision of that product. We would suggest that you would have it weekly or more, just for this WSJF session, because trying to do it all before the PI planning, all at the end. I've also seen that in the IP sprint. That's quite a lot of work, depending, of course, how many features that you have to go through. But you can imagine it's a huge amount of work if you've got hundreds of features. The attendees could be product owners, stakeholders, subject matter experts, and architects or team members when needed. So if you need them for their expertise to actually, maybe you've got enabler stories or features that need some sort of explanation, then you would bring them in as well. But the most important thing is that you keep the group consistent. We don't sort of see any benefit. Of course, you do how you are, but it's not real benefit if a bit like user stories. When one team sort of says the same stories are, I don't know, 8 story points, and another team will say it's 3 story points. If we kind of differ in the way that we measure the WSJF, then it doesn't really serve us the purpose that we're going for. So yeah, we've got the discussion points as criteria for defining components of the cost of delay. So we all sort of have to agree and have an understanding, what the user business value would mean, what the time criticality would mean, what the risk reduction would mean, and so on. And we would have the defined parameters for the features. So the features need to be written out in some sort of way that we can actually prioritize. It's no use just having a heading. We need to sort of know the parameters of that feature so that we can prioritize it accordingly. We've got the ability to estimate job duration. I think that really goes with that parameters, that feature, because if we haven't got that parameters, then it's very difficult then to have that job duration or job size. So we definitely need that in place. And also conduct, establish, and agree on the values that we're going to be using.